Today we consider the balance between leadership skills and legal skills for the impactful GC business leader. Welcome, Prini. Thanks for coming along today. Perhaps we can start by asking you what's driving the shift from technical skills to stronger leadership skills within the GC role.
I think what's changed is that if I think back to about 15 years ago or so, when I first went in-house, the motivations for creating in-house teams back then was very much as a cost mitigator. So, do what you did for me in your private practice law firm, but do it within my business was really what I was asked to do. But that's changed now. That's one very narrow view of what a legal function can do. And what we do nowadays and how I've seen our role develop is very much as a business partner. So not providing legal advice as an input into a decision, but actually being part of that decision.
Can you think of an example of a time in your career when you've been particularly conscious about this shift from technical skills to stronger leadership skills?
Yes, I think there's many examples, particularly when I sit with our CEO and we're working through a particular issue. I've had to work hard to influence her and others in the business team to think much more early on in their thinking around how a decision might impact our regulatory position, or how we might think earlier on in the process about protecting our brand, rather than having something ready developed from a commercial perspective and throwing it over the fence to the lawyers at that point to come and provide their view.
What sort of areas do you think will distinguish impactful GCs of the future from the rest?
So I think there's three areas broadly: people, process and tools. And if I just touch on each of those briefly, in the people sense, I think people-centric GCs are much more impactful. They need to concentrate on the people that they have within their team, so the legal and non-legal professionals, how they choose them, who they choose, and how they develop and retain them. But also the people in the broader business and managing their stakeholders in that sense, who they are, how they work, and how they need to work with them to deliver. Also processes, as I mentioned, there's a lot of work to do. We don't have infinite resources to deliver, and we're often asked to step outside of our remit or have additional responsibility. So we do need to work through how we can improve the way we do things. And so looking at processes and making them productive and effective is really important. And then finally, looking at tools, whether that's technology tools that legal teams can use, or even more simply, ways of working to help us to do our jobs as effectively and efficiently as possible. Recently, we've been working with a neuroscientist at Visa who's helping the legal team globally to look at how the brain works in this really busy world where there's a large amount of distraction, and giving some really practical tools on how to work effectively in that environment.
It's interesting looking into neuroscience, sort of a non-traditional way of gaining insight. But are there any other ways? Where would GCs look for resources to support development or best practice around leadership skills?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, I'm an advocate of being part of the business. So in a way, I think looking at what your company can provide as part of their broader talent and development program is really important. And I'm lucky enough to work for a company that does, really value developing talent across the board, wherever that talent sits in the business. So I think that's a great opportunity to make sure as GCs and as legal professionals, we take up those opportunities as much as having bespoke training just for the lawyers.
Prini, that's terrific. Thanks so much for coming along today.
Thanks for having me.